in women, belly fat leads to increased testosterone, and this is not desirable because it can lead to the development of male features like increased facial hair, hair loss, changes in body shape, and even infertility. Welcome back to Epiphany Health, a place that empowers you to take charge of your health. Now today we're talking belly fat. And if you're a woman, having a layer of fat over your lower abdominal area is totally normal. This is just your body's way of protecting your precious human manufacturing equipment. And it's a reason why it is extremely difficult for women to achieve a well-defined six-pack. Now, if you're a guy, I'm sorry, you sir have no excuses. Where is your six-pack? I'm just kidding. Now, this type of fat sits just below the skin and is mostly harmless if it's just a thin layer. The belly fat I'm speaking about here is also known as visceral fat and is the fat that sits inside your abdominal cavity. Now, this fat hangs around your organs and disrupts their normal function. As if that's not bad enough, belly fat basically goes rogue and starts to behave like an organ, like a cancer really. It starts creating its own blood vessel networks and secreting toxins and hormones that hijack normal body function, like confusing your hunger and satiety hormones, disrupting your reproductive hormones, and throwing your mood regulating hormones and your growth hormones out of whack. So how do you know that you have excess belly fat? Now here the scale means nothing. How much you weigh means nothing here. What you need to do is to take a tape measure and wrap it across your belly button. And the tape measure needs to rest gently on your skin. Do not try to squeeze out the centimeters. Now, if you're female, a reading of more than 88 centimeters typically indicates excessive belly fat. And for men, that reading is 94. Now, another method is to divide your height by 2, and your waist size should typically be less than that. For example, I am 1.76 meters tall. So my waist size should not be more than 88 centimeters, which means I shouldn't wear bigger than a size 38 pants in South African sizes. Now in women, belly fat leads to increased testosterone, which is the dominant male hormone. And this is not desirable because it can lead to the development of male features like increased facial hair, hair loss, changes in body shape, and even infertility. Belly fat also leads to estrogen dominance, which makes weight loss virtually impossible and also affects thyroid function, among other hormonal complications. Now, if you're a man, you're not spared either. Belly fat in men converts testosterone, the dominant male hormone, into estrogen, the dominant female hormone. Now, this decrease in testosterone will result in low muscle mass and a general increase in body fat percentage, making it difficult to lose weight. Now, additionally, low testosterone levels may contribute to decreased libido and sexual performance, moodiness, and irritability, leaving you prone to things like depression and anxiety. Now, the increased estrogen levels in men may also lead to the development of breast tissue and may also contribute to the enlargement of the prostate. In general, belly fat is a good predictor of the development of high blood pressure, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, thyroid issues, hormonal dysfunction, heart disease, and even certain cancers. Now, belly fat is also a pretty good sign that you're headed for insulin resistance, which ultimately turns to diabetes if nothing is done about it. Now, I believe that the biggest part of solving a problem is figuring out the root cause. So let's explore what causes fat to accumulate around the belly instead of other parts of the body. Then we will dive into things that you can do to get rid of the belly fat and to keep it off. The biggest cause of belly fat is the overconsumption of added sugars and processed carbs. Now, sugars and carbs in their natural form and natural concentrations are fine. It's the sugars that are artificially added to food products and carbs that are stripped of their goodness, leaving behind just plain naked carbs that are the problem. Now, interesting fact, sugarcane, this is the plant that most of our table sugar is derived from, has actual health benefits. Now, besides boosting the immune system, detoxifying the liver, and protecting against cancer, sugarcane is also rich in calcium and phosphorus, the minerals that build tooth enamel and strong bones. It's amazing, right? So nature realizes that sugarcane has high sugar content that could lead to tooth decay. So it fortifies it with the minerals necessary to prevent that from happening. Now, table sugar, in comparison, is stripped of all its goodness, leaving behind just naked sugar, naked carbs. Now, the same applies to processed carbs such as white bread, white pasta, and chips, and so forth. The wheat, maize, or potatoes are stripped of all their fiber. And with that, their protein, their antioxidants, their phytonutrients, and vitamins and minerals, leaving behind just pure naked carbs. So, what actually is my problem with naked carbs? The human body is very efficient at digesting carbs, and not surprisingly, as this is our main source of fuel. If you remember in high school biology, digestion of carbs starts in the mouth as soon as the food hits your saliva. Now, if these carbs are naked, by the time they hit the small intestines, digestion is virtually done, and then they're easily and quickly absorbed into the bloodstream as glucose. Now, high levels of glucose in the blood are undesirable and dangerous, and they're corrosive to the body. The body is quite efficient at converting excessive glucose into fat. Now, for context, the amount of glucose that can safely float around in your blood at a time is the equivalent of plus or minus 1 teaspoon of sugar. Anything more than that must be converted to fat and stored away. Now, because the influx of glucose from naked carbs and sugars is very quick, the conversion and storage of fat must also happen just as quickly to prevent damage to the body. And the closest storage facility for that fat is the abdominal cavity. Versus when you have consumed complex carbs with their fiber and nutrients intact, the absorption of this kind of glucose is slow and sustained and does not sound alarms in the body. So the body has time and capacity to store the fat in less dangerous locations like your thighs or your bums and so forth. Now, another factor that causes belly fat is chronic stress. In simple terms, this is what happens when you're stressed. Each time you're stressed, the body secretes the stress hormone, cortisol, and part of cortisol's modus operandi is to increase the blood glucose levels in order to provide you with enough fuel to either fight off the threat or to run away from it. Now, because you're typically doing neither, the body will release insulin to mop up this excessive glucose in the blood and convert it to fat and store it in the closest storage facility, which is the abdominal cavity. And also realize that normally this glucose that would have been unlocked by cortisol would have been sourced from fat and muscle cells from other parts of the body, like from your thighs or your bums and so forth. And it is then stored as belly fat. Other things that can contribute to belly fat are vitamin deficiencies such as vitamin D, vitamin B12, and manganese, among others. Menopause and hormonal dysfunction can also contribute to belly fat. And if you're a woman, estrogen is the hormone that tells the body where to store fat, like in the hips or the boobs or the thighs. And if you have too little estrogen, this instruction is not clear, and you may start storing fat in your abdominal cavity. Or if you're a man who's in their late 40s, early 50s, you could be going through andropause, which is like the male version of menopause. Now, here there's a drop in testosterone, which causes fat redistribution, such as developing large bellies and man boobs, among other symptoms. Now, lack of sleep also contributes to belly fat by disrupting normal hormonal function. It also increases stress levels and makes you crave sugar and processed carbs. Toxins in an unhealthy gut can also cause belly fat. How do we get rid of belly fat and keep it off? Number one is to reduce your naked carb consumption. Try to eat whole foods that are not processed or that are minimally processed, like meats, beans, nuts, whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. Number two is to eat a balanced meal, which includes protein and healthy fats, especially breakfast. Try to never eat a sweet treat or a starchy food as a standalone snack. If you're going to have something like an ice cream or a cupcake or a chocolate or even sweet fruits, always eat your treat after a meal. There's a reason why dessert is the last serving of a meal, because this serves to further slow down the digestion and the absorption of glucose in the blood, creating a slow, sustained release of energy that will not trigger fat storage and will keep you fuller for longer. Number three is to manage your stress levels. Now, like I mentioned previously, stress hormones hijack your metabolism, and in the end, facilitate the movement of fat from other parts of the body to your abdomen. Number 4 is to exercise regularly. I found a combination of brisk walking or running and weightlifting to be the most effective in tackling belly fat. And also try to incorporate some movement after meals, because this creates a demand for energy in your muscle cells. Now, the glucose in your blood will then be absorbed by the muscle cells instead of being stored in the fat cells. Try also to take a walk or to do some yoga after a meal, and cleaning the kitchen, washing dishes is also a great post-meal workout. Number 5 is to eat only until you're full. Do not push past satiety, even if there's just a few bites left on the plate. Because what happens over time, if you're constantly overeating, is that your satiety signals stop working, and you will not be able to tell whether or not you're actually full, resulting in perpetuated overeating and increased belly fat. Number 6 is drink sufficient amounts of water. Now, exactly how much water is sufficient is highly dependent on the individual. It's also dependent on their current environment and their activity levels, but a general guide is between 1.5 and 3 liters a day. Now, apart from preventing overeating, water consumption also keeps you regular. It helps take out the trash, which is essential for the maintenance of a healthy gut, which will help you shrink your midsection. Number 7 is to make sure to get enough good quality sleep. Because if you do not sleep well, you will crave carbs and you will make bad food choices. Lack of sleep also jacks up your cortisol levels. This is your stress hormone, and it will make you store fat in your abdomen. Number 8 is to reduce alcohol consumption, especially beer. Beer is very high in calories and offers zero health benefits. Now, what it does for you is it stops your body from burning fat. It also increases your appetite and makes you crave the wrong things. If you're going to drink on occasion, maybe some red wine, at least it has less calories and it contains some antioxidants and phytonutrients. Number 9 is intermittent fasting. If you're able to, giving your body a break from food will inevitably force it to tap into stored fat reserves. Now, the trick with intermittent fasting, though, is to start small and to build it over time. Number 10 is stop snacking. Give your body a chance to use up the calories from the previous meal before stuffing your face and stuffing your mouth with more food. Now, if you eat before the previous meal's glucose has been used up, the body will shift into fat storage mode. I'd say give at least 4 hours between meals to ensure proper digestion and that the glucose is used up. And no, doing sit-ups and other core exercises on their own is not really a useful intervention when trying to lose belly fat. Now, these are useful for toning and strengthening your midsection, and they're awesome, but on their own, they will never tackle an oversized midsection. All right then, that's all for this video. Please like and share with others that you think might benefit from this information. See you in the next one.